Good evening. It is April the 22nd today, which is a Saturday. And all I can do is apologize for the length that I have waited since I did my last video. Um, just had a couple of things, an idea that I wanted to share, some ideas that I wanted to share. Like I said, I've been keeping notes now. I try to make an outline before I speak. But like I said, the purpose of my channel is to be real, talk about things that nobody else has the courage to talk about, which is victimhood, self-pity, depression, suicide, things like that, ugly subjects that nobody else has the courage to deal with, or they bypass. There's an organization called Hay House Publishing. It was created by Louise Hay. She's dead now. These are the king of people who bypass these kinds of teachings. No metaphysical author like A Course in Miracles or Hay House or Wayne Dyer, Marion Williamson is ever going to touch a dark subject of suicide or murder or mass shootings. They're never going to do anything to taint their pretty flimsy appearance of being perfect. Not so much perfection, they just simply will not deal with anything that doesn't have to do with getting rich or being happy, which is total insanity. We have over 1 million people in this world who kill themselves every year through suicide. What has prompted me to make this video, I was just going to start out by saying that the quickest way to expose a weak teacher is to attack them. Now, I don't mean attack them physically. You don't want to go to jail. I'm not suggesting anybody do anything to get yourself arrested. Don't do it. It's not worth it. You can tell somebody you hate them. You can tell somebody you resent them. And you can even tell somebody you hope they die. But just don't threaten them or do anything that's going to put you in jail. Several years ago, for example, in 2016, I had gone to a class reunion. I graduated in 1975, and then I got back and I was on Facebook and I was talking about depression one night. And this classmate, she was a woman that I'd known since, 1970, 71. Never did like her. She was always, seemed like she was better than everybody else. She was always very popular. She wasn't even pretty. But she was a cheerleader. I don't know what she had, but she didn't have looks. And her and I never got along. She wasn't that great in school, but she was popular. But we were not friends. But I had saw her at the class reunion down in Florida, 2016, and I have neutral feelings about her. But she's commented on my depression video saying that, well, don't you create your own depression? Yeah, aren't you the one that's causing your own depression? And man, when she said that, I got angry and hurt. And I wrote back to her on Facebook and I said, I hope you lose everything that you love. I hope you lose everybody that you have ever known. I hope you lose all happiness. And I hope you're left nothing with the desire but the desire to die. I hope everyone who's ever loved you vanishes out of your life. And I don't care. It wasn't a threat, it's just a wish. And I caught hell for about a week. People saying that was ugly. People from my class, and I don't care. And I still don't care. She did not unfriend me. Now, her and I have never spoken since 2016. But her sister unfriended me, and others. And but I never back down. Never back down from something where you've expressed resentment or hatred, unless you feel moved to. If you genuinely feel sorry for something, then yeah, you can come back and apologize. And then about a year ago, this particular person found out she had came down with severe depression. She even announced on Facebook that she's depressed. Here she is with allegedly everything, husband, a family. She got everything she wanted, never had to work a job. And she was out in Colorado somewhere seeking treatment. Now, whether did my words have something to do with that? I'd kind of like to think it did. Did I feel any sorry for her? I was tempted to lash out at her and say, hey, what happened to you create your own depression? Well, I didn't. I let it go. When you fail to help other people and help to understand them, and you judge people for the way they feel or act, which is something I've experienced my whole life, expect it to come back on you 100 times fold. But the quickest way to expose a weak teacher, or especially metaphysical spiritual teachers, is to attack them. About a week ago, I was watching a psychic on YouTube, and she was channeling information about the Alec Murdaugh case. Alec Murdaugh killed his wife and son in 2020, I believe. Shot him dead, and he went to trial, and he's now in jail for the rest of his life. Her reading was very good, and I'll listen to her reading on this. I can't remember her name right now. I didn't write it down. So I checked out her website, and their website said something, this is for entertainment purposes. You can't substitute my teachings for those of your mental health counselor or doctor. Oh, it's a disclaimer. She's covering her ass. When I saw that, I got very upset and angry, and I sent her a hate-filled email criticizing her for being a hypocrite, saying, you sit here and claim you have all these spiritual abilities, but then when it comes to standing by what you teach, you have to come back and cover your ass with the world by hiding behind the laws of the world and saying the psychiatrists and medical doctors are more important. And she got all wounded. Oh, you're a judgmental person. I mean, I have to do this by law. She's trying to make excuses for. I said, you don't have to do anything by law. I sent her back. I said, you chose to not stand up for your words. And when you tell people that your work's for entertainment, it's like an insult. I said, people who come to you looking for a psychic, people who come to metaphysics or the Course in Miracles or Hay House, they're there because they did not get help from psychiatrists or medical doctors. They're beyond those people. So then when they come to you now for help because they couldn't find it in the world, and then you tell them, oh, I'm not a substitute for your medical provider, it's the same as sticking a knife in their gut. And you deserve to be attacked and called out as a hypocrite. So that's what I did with that woman. She ends up apologizing and saying, oh, I'm sorry you went through so much. The damage was done. Was I an asshole? Absolutely. I was absolutely an asshole. Happy people are useless to those who suffer. Okay, I've learned that a long time ago. People who are happy, who have families and their house, and they have nice jobs and kids, and everything goes the way it's supposed to go. They don't have any children end up on drugs, or they don't have anybody commit suicide, and they make a lot of money, and they create their life of their dreams. These people, it looks all good on the outside. And it is good for these people and for people like them. And that's what Hay House is about. Hay House is about selling positive thinking to everyone. Tony Robbins is another one. Wayne Dyer. But these people are absolutely useless to you and me, those who suffer depression, resentment, and suicide. Okay? When you're getting your needs met and you're happy and you don't see the suffering of the world and you don't really care. Okay, you don't really care. I came across an article about a guy named LaShawn Thompson. He was a 35-year-old black male. He died, I think, last September in Fulton County, Georgia, which is down near Atlanta. I'm about 120 miles from Atlanta. He was in a psychiatric wing. Now, he didn't do anything bad. I think he's a low level, he tried to rob something, burglary. I mean, it wasn't anything like murder, which even if it had been, he didn't justify what happened to him. They put him in a psychiatric wing, and he ends up dying. Over 1,000 insect bites from red bugs. They had pictures of the cell. It was filthy. They left him in there for days, and he just died. These insects ate him alive. Now, you think the Hay House teacher is going to talk about that, or this woman I just mentioned? You think these people, the happy people, are going to bring up a story like this and talk about it and say it's wrong? Of course they aren't. I spent a night in a psychiatric wing in a jail in 1994. I had a DUI, the only one I ever had. I was 34. And I got arrested outside of Orlando, Florida. I was coming back from a place I never should have been, a party. I was intoxicated. I guess I fell asleep behind the wheel. I was driving on Interstate 4 near Disney World. 2 o'clock in the morning, I got pulled over by a highway patrol. At first, I wasn't scared. The officer was nice to me. He was a black man. He put me in the front seat. That's what's kind of weird. He put me in the front seat of the patrol car. A highway patrolman. I wasn't handcuffed. I think he might have handcuffed me. But I was in the front seat. But anyhow, the point is, I thought I'd go to the jail and be out in 8 hours. That's what he told me. Well, anyhow, I was in the Orange County jail. The Orange County jail is the same place where Casey Anthony was, the young lady that accused of killing her daughter. And they couldn't run my background check, so I was in there. This was Saturday night, so all day Sunday goes by. They don't let me out, so they put me into the psychiatric wing because they had asked me questions about my past, and I mentioned I had mental health treatment. That's the wrong thing to say. So they put me in the mental health unit. So here I am by myself in this terrible, horrible place. I'm watching people banging their heads against the wall with bloody noses. And everything's like the glass cage. They got you in a glass cage. They don't dim the lights. You're sleeping under bright lights on this hard concrete slab. If I could have found a way to kill myself that night, I would have. It was terrifying. I had no one to call. The abuse that I saw in that place in just 12 hours makes me hate God to this day. I will never acknowledge God as my Father or call to God for help after seeing what I experienced, which is far less than what this guy experienced with the bed bugs. I mean, at least my cell was clean. I locked and I got out of that place. It was terrible. All because I just mentioned I had psychiatric treatment. But if you think you're going to be treated different in a psychiatric unit, you're wrong. But another thing that's happened, I came across a woman. She wrote a book called Beyond Past Lives. I'm not going to mention her name right now, and I'll tell you why later. She's about 40-something years old. She lives in California, Los Angeles, and she's a Hay House teacher. And she wrote this best-selling book. And she knew Wayne Dyer and all these other famous Hay House teachers. And she came to America from Bulgaria. And she was a lawyer at an early age, and she was successful. Only thing painful that really ever happened to her, in her own words, was she had some dental problems and teeth pain that she resolved through past life regression. So she is a past life regression expert and has written a book on it. So I read the book, and I reached out to her. I didn't think she'd ever write back, but she did. So she gave me her rates. She charges like $885 for 4 hour, I think 3 or 4 hour regression. It'd be done online, or I can go to Los Angeles. Of course, I can't go to Los Angeles. Don't have the money. But I've at least reached out to her. And today, she called, I asked her about having a free discovery call. She had a website that says, my coaching programs are by invitation only. Well, I didn't like that. That means she's going to pick and choose. But please fill out this discovery form and I'll contact you. Well, when I sent her an email about it, she comes back and says, I never do discovery calls. There's nothing to really discover. I trust that everyone that has discovered my work has decided that I can help them, and that they want to work with me. I don't remember the last time I did a discovery call, she says. I'm doing this out of kindness and willingness to share my time with you. I don't remember the last time I did a discovery call. Even if you don't hire me, I'll still thank you and have a wonderful day. Anytime somebody says thank you and have a wonderful day, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. I mean, I took a screenshot of her website and sent it back to her, and she emailed me, I forgot all about that being on there. Thank you for letting me know. She's not where I can take it off later. So she was irritated that I dare ask her for free. And she's going to give me like 20 minutes free time next Wednesday if I go through with it. But she's a Hay House teacher. And the point is, I don't feel as angry about it as I did. But it's just the attitude that she doesn't even know herself about her own webpage. And almost criticizes me for dare asking her for time. This is a tough one because she wrote a lot of stuff about suicide in her book. And she admits in her book that she says she has never felt suicidal her whole life. She's never even known anybody who's been suicidal. But then she writes in her book about how, suicide's never the answer. Suicide means you'll come back and have to live through the hell all over again, as if she's some kind of fucking expert. And she says, if you commit suicide, it's almost 100% guarantee that you've got to come back and relive that hell all over again. You have to go through it. Here she is, the so-called expert on suicide. She admits herself, excuse me, that she has never been suicidal or knows anybody. I myself have been suicidal basically for 40 years. My mother committed suicide, and I've known at least 10 people who committed suicide. Suicide's been a part of my life for years, and people. So I almost got really ugly about when I read what she had to say, and I was going to send this real negative review about her, because I wrote her about a week ago about having a possibility of seeing her for help or regression, and she hadn't responded. So I figured she's seen me and said, this guy's a loser, this guy's a mental case, I don't want to work with him, because she's a Hay House teacher, remember? She personally knew Wayne Dyer. She even claims that she flew to Maui, Hawaii, and gave him a past life regression when he alive. So she was a lawyer in New York. Everything she's ever touched is gold. And she said something else about a guy on one of her podcasts. She thought she found a man that she was going to date, but the man dared express he wasn't sure about his career, and that turned her off. He didn't know what his purpose was, so I knew right then I didn't want anything to do with him. But anyhow, the point I'm trying to make is, normally I just would have wrote her off, cussed her out. I'm not going to write that negative review until I talk to her next week, if I do. Never seek counsel with anybody who you resent or feel irritation towards. Now, I do feel some irritation toward this woman. And if I don't get it worked out between now and then, I'm probably not going to talk to her. Never seek counsel with any counselor that you feel irritation. It will bite you in the ass every time. A therapeutic relationship is one only that you're going to lose in. You have to pay for a therapeutic relationship. The moment that you have to pay somebody for their time, you're already treating yourself as if you don't deserve to have the same type of life or love or success they do. A bought relationship, which is all a therapeutic relationship, is not any kind of relationship that's going to bring you forgiveness or unity or feeling of oneness with other people. We all have to make a living. But I haven't decided if all this woman is about is the money. Arrogance and superiority from a therapist makes healing impossible. You'll never find healing from anybody that looks down on you as a patient or a client. I've seen over 250, 300 therapists in a 40-year period, and they were all fucking useless. They were all useless. Every school shooter that ever was under the care of a therapist or a psychiatrist before they killed somebody. Therapists are useless. Do not waste your time. The cause of all hatred and resentment is seeing others with the things that you don't believe you deserve to have. And that is the cause of all my misery. For 40 years of self-help and reading books, I never found a way to heal. The beliefs that keep me separate, the beliefs that keep me bitter, have never been altered. Until we alter our beliefs of self-hatred or hatred or see the world as our enemy, nothing is ever going to change. There's nobody really out there that's teaching this. There was a teacher named Seth in the 70s. He channeled by Jane Roberts. And she talked, and Seth was very adamant that we create our reality through our thoughts and beliefs. But if you think it's an easy chore, most people never change their thoughts of pain and depression and resentment. It's a lifetime affliction. Look at me. You can't learn from a teacher that you resent. That's why I hate Tony Robbins. That's why I can't learn. I can't learn from somebody that has what I don't have. Now, if I looked at this person and said, oh, okay, well, I believe I can learn from this person and then learn how to get what I need. Never happened in my life. It happens for everybody else, I guess, but it never happened for me. It's not going to happen for people severely depressed. If you see somebody else in a better place than you are, and that other person's coming at you from a state of, well, look at me, arrogance. Arrogance. You're not going to learn from that person. At least I'm not. I'd rather die and kill myself than to bow down before a teacher I resent. This woman here, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to share with her more information about my past. The fact that she says, I will choose. If I decide you're the right fit. That's what Hay House teachers do. They always want to get ones that's not going to get their hands dirty. Well, I'm not that kind of a person. You mess with me, you're going to get your hands dirty. We, as wounded people, wounded children, we are victims of the world around us. Until we learn that we have our own power, until we learn that we deserve to have love or intimacy or sex, yes, we are victims. I'm a victim of this world. When I see other people that have what I cannot manifest or create, yes, I feel resentment. And that resentment is something that has kept me down for 40 years. I didn't start out this path. I started out trying to be a positive person. I started out when I was 25 years old trying to be positive and reading self-help books. But then when people started saying, oh, you got to be positive. And then when I said, I don't feel that way right now. I'm upset about this. Oh, you just want to play the role of a victim. That's when I became an enemy and started attacking people and threatening people and ended up before restraining orders in my life. When you tell somebody they shouldn't feel the way they feel, or they're not entitled to their anger, or you're not willing to understand what their anger and rage is about, you have made yourself a lifetime enemy. So that's all Hay House is trying to pretend like everything is all right. And for most of those people, it is. They've never been through pain, depression, fired from jobs, been in mental hospitals 14 times. I'm starting to lose my train of thought on what I made this video for. It's really about this woman that wrote this book, Beyond Past Lives. You can find it on Amazon, Kindle. It's really a good book. It talks about past lives. The idea of a past life regression is to try to learn what happened. What's going on in your other lives that created this shitty life I'm in. And it is a shitty life. I'll be 66 June. Have no money coming in. I do have Social Security that can possibly start this year. Like I said, I wake up every morning with the thought of suicide. I felt better today for some reason. I'm not as angry at this woman as I thought I was going to be. I'm still willing to possibly talk to her next week. But the point I'm going to make is a relationship that you have to pay somebody to talk to you for, is not a relationship at all. It's like a prostitute. It's like a whore. It might meet your immediate needs, but you'll feel like shit afterwards, I promise. I have mentioned before I was an avid fan of Alan Roger Curry. Now he's a person I hate and despise. I can't believe I followed him for over a year and did individual coaching. And he made the worst contribution to me. And he was like poison. This man was like poison, as far as what he taught me. That he teaches you that you're basically worthless unless you're on top of your game. But that's not who I'm here to talk about. I'm basically here to say that happy people are useless to helping you because they're too busy being happy. And even they don't have patience or the time, and never regret anybody you've attacked. I mean, don't attack them physically, but if you've insulted somebody or you told them that you hope they die, if you wish them ill will, unless you feel led internally to apologize or feel forgiveness, don't backtrack. The myth of forgiveness. That's a whole nother video. The myth of forgiveness. You don't choose. You don't get to choose when you forgive somebody. You can't just say, well, I've been carrying this resentment for 40 years. It's time for me to let it go. It don't work that way. You don't decide that one day. I tried to forgive a guy named Ken Wapnick, the world's leading expert of A Course in Miracles, in 2010. I even called him up and told him how I felt, and it seemed like at the time that I had forgiven him. He even offered me a free book that he had written. He's dead now. He died 3 years later. And I realized as soon as I hung up that he hadn't changed a bit. He was the same person that I hated for basically 30 years. And I didn't accept his offer of the free book, and now he's dead, and I still haven't forgiven. I hate him worse than ever. But I attempted to do something I wasn't ready to do. So if you try to attempt forgiveness when you're not ready to it, it will bite you in the motherfucking ass. And you will hate yourself and that person worse than ever. So don't buy into all this. You got to forgive, and you can choose to forgive any time. No, you can't. When you have healed and found the love, and possibly you can forgive when things start maybe going better. If you start turning your life around, you can look at forgiveness, but you're not going to just forgive. Because it's a lie. If you try to forgive when you don't feel like it's a lie. I guess I'm going to keep these videos like around 30 minutes or less. I mentioned that I was diagnosed with cancer of the eye. I'm supposed to have skin cancer. I mean, you can't see it. I did have a small lesion on my eyelid, then I have a lesion here. It's been taken off about a month ago. And I'm supposed to go to invasive surgery in the middle of April. Well, I'm not going. I can't. If I die, I die. I'm not going to do it now anyway. So, if you're feeling suicidal, I wish I could give you something to feel better about. There's nowhere to go. I'm just going to be honest with you. There's no one to call. If you call a crisis line, they're going to lock you up. If you're honest. If you don't tell them that you're going to kill yourself, they can't. But what's the point of calling a crisis line if you can't be honest? Well, if you call a crisis line, the crisis line is not about saving you. When you're suicidal, they're afraid they see you as a homicidal person. So the crisis line is set up not to help you, but to protect the world from you. I know it's insane, but that's the honest truth. The only way through resentment is acceptance of it. And that's how I have lived to be where I'm at and have not been completely destroyed. I have felt my resentment without medicating it with drugs or alcohol. I have never ran from my feelings. I have never backed down from my feelings. And by honoring the way I feel and admitting that I feel hate toward people and hate toward God is how I have made it to where I am at as far as still alive. It's not much of a life. There's no love. There's no companionship. I really don't know what my purpose is in this world. Maybe it's this. But don't back down from people who tell you not to resent. If you back down to somebody when you feel like hating them, it will bite you in the ass. Every time. I'll try to be more responsive in my comments to y'all. Responses. And I'll try not to wait so long. But like I said, I've been doing a different approach. Just try to write me an outline. And I don't use any kind of editing software. And maybe one day, if I get to feeling better, I will. Or maybe I don't have to worry about it. Maybe I'll just die. And I don't have to worry about it anymore. But don't listen to anybody else's advice about suicide. This woman telling me, oh, it's 100% guarantee that you're going to come back. That's her opinion. If you believe that, then that's what you believe. If you don't, nobody has a right to tell you what happens in suicide. Have a good night.